else. Recording. All right. I want to welcome everyone to our data collection meeting here today. We're here at Superior Paper Handling Systems and Output Technologies. We're here with John Curry. John is heads up this particular system behind us here. And what we're going to be taking a look at is the product overview as a whole as to what does this do and how would we use this with our customers. We're going to talk about how this collects data, and then we're going to talk about how we're going to help our customers utilize this data as well. If you take time on the Fact Track website, there's several different options and units available for us. And can everyone hear okay? I should start.
Yeah.
Hello, hello?
I can.
Okay, perfect. Hello, Mr. Deutscher. So what we're going to do is, the audio is good. Thank you, Michael DeLetto. And this is a new feature we're using with Zoom here. So we're actually using my iPhone here and doing a little live shot. We've got Rick Schroeder on premise as well, in case things get crazy. So what we're going to walk through here, I'm going to pass the baton here to John to explain some of the equipment that we're working with right now. We do have a demo unit. Gary Gray has played with it. Carl has played with it a little bit. And we're ready to get it out to some customers. I know Ray Hickey has a very large account that's interested in utilizing this to measure their waste on a shrink line. And there's a couple ways that you could do that. And I'll just kind of talk about how this technology would be utilized for that live example. Is with a shrink system, there's a couple things that you can measure. You can measure potentially the eye mark coming off the film. You can measure the seal bar coming together. And then you can put another eye at the back end of the unit to measure the case count. And say there's 12 pieces per case. You can measure how many cases go down the line. And then you have 1 and 2, you have the data, you do the reporting, which Michael DeLetto is going to work on for us. And we'll be able to determine our rework percentages based upon that. You'll get run rates, live data on the line, what you're seeing behind us, which really helps with productivity and people in their operations getting an understanding of what is the uptime and how is the line running. And then just behind John here is the scoreboard system, and that is what would be in the facility manager or the ops manager's office to oversee everything that's happening on the individual line. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the reins on to John. He's going to kind of walk us through some of the functions and features of this unit. And please ask questions as you have them. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. So first off, just wanted to start out with showing you exactly what the Smart Count Edge is. It's this box basically here, jam-packed with many features. It has 2 sensor inputs. 1 and 2, so you have your main sensor count, and then you can use the second one for reject counts. You can remotely pause the system from there, or on some screens you can actually have 2 counts going on. It also has standard Ethernet connection, as well as 4 USB ports, HDMI cable connection for connecting to TVs. There's the pause resume button, as well as the reset, and then your power inlet and power switch. Everything's low voltage inside the box. We use a wall transformer basically as the power coming in. So when people talk and say, well, what is the Smart Count Edge? This is the Smart Count Edge. Now what can you do with it? A lot of things. In the standard Edge, there's 24 preloaded screens that you can choose from depending on the metrics that they want to display. So for example, you can see in some of these, you just have one big number going across. You have several metrics being recorded, and then we'll get into another version of the Smart Count Edge, which is the Edge Plus. So basically what this will allow you to do is count basically any moving part on a line. So you could be counting cycles of a machine. You could be counting the actual product that's being made, and then also counting rejects. Why is this important? Well, the main thing is what it gives the operators accountability. So when you have this set up on the line and you have a screen showing the actual operator how they're performing, 9 times out of 10, it actually increases their productivity because the operator is now accountable for what they're doing. And everybody that walks by the machine can see that, what's going on with that line. Everything is drop-down menus. There's no programming required. Very simple to set up from job to job. Depending on the metrics, you're typically going to set your target rate, which can be in seconds, minutes, or hours. You're going to set a timeout feature, which I'll explain a little bit more once we start going through it. And then you'll be able to set different colors for different thresholds of things taking place. So if you go into downtime and it's been X minutes and you want that color to change, you have the ability to do that as well. Before we get into actually going through the screens and things, I just wanted to show another variation of it. This is our Smart Count Edge 7. This one actually has a built-in 7-inch touchscreen. So you would have this in lieu of the standard Edge with a TV. Some people like a nice compact unit right at the machine. The downfall of this is you cannot connect it to a TV. The HDMI input is being used for the touchscreen. So if they ever wanted a bigger screen, they would have to go with the Smart Count Edge and then add a TV screen to that.
Can you plug a keyboard into that so you can type into it?
Yep. So you still have the same inputs. So you have your USB inputs, your Ethernet connection. None of that's changed. So you can use the touch screen and just go through by touching the correct spots. Or you can connect a mouse or a keyboard or both and be able to walk through doing your settings and everything. So it's kind of nice for, again, customers that don't want a big screen there, but they still want some visibility at the machine. Okay.
I'm going to switch the camera around so I can get a better shot of what John is doing for everyone. Here we are.
So we'll start with, I'll be looking at this screen here. This is the standard Smart Count that has 24 different screens to choose from. So basically everything down here is your drop down. So just by clicking the 3 lines up here, we'll drop down the sidebar, and then you would go into settings. Let's go up to the top. Here's where you would choose which screen you want. And on our website, we have videos of each screen, basically an overview. We also have a matrix of what features are included with each screen. The units come shipped defaulted with screen 17. And that's basically our most popular for those that are actually going to show a job size and track rejects. So there's a lot on the screen, but it's valuable information. If they just want to see a count going on at the machine, just by clicking the settings again, and go over and change to screen 1. And that's just going to give you your main single digit right there.
And this would be counting, this is the I1 is counting what's coming past on I1, correct?
Correct. Okay. So now what you're going to notice is some of your features and different things below the screen version is going to be based on which screen version you have. So if you're selected on 1, some of the settings you're going to be limited to are what are appropriate to that screen. If you change out and go to a screen that has more data to display, you're going to get additional drop downs. Okay. Just quickly going through this, you can round to whole numbers, or you can actually have decimals. The alternate text for color is what you're seeing on some of these, you're seeing white numbers. That's our alternate. Red numbers would be standard, so you can choose between white numbers or red numbers. Total time and runtime, those are the 2 basically clocks that are up on the top here. So you got a total job time and then the total time that you've actually been running. You can elect to not display that if for some reason they don't want it. You can click that off, and then those will not be displayed. So it'll be hidden up there.
And this is just based upon whatever event your customer wants. And sorry for the shakiness, guys. I'm holding this up. Your customer can do this by shift change, by product change, by whatever it is. You can start and stop based upon whatever they want. There's no real criteria relative to the system. It's very adaptable into a lot of environments.
Okay. Rate scale, you have the selection to choose per hour, per minute, or per second based on how they want to see the data. The count multipliers you have for both sensor 1 and sensor 2. In an example that Eric used where you have a case of 10 products going down the line and you're only counting the case. If there's 10 pieces in there and you want to actually count the total pieces, you can set that multiplier to 10. So every time that case is counted, it's going to increase the number by 10. Same thing on sensor 2. Again, using this as rejects. If that case has 10 pieces in it and you want to count your rejects total pieces, you would set that to 10 as well. Actual count and actual count 2. I have this in demo mode right now, so you'll actually see those numbers increasing. You can come in here and set that number to whatever you want. So let's say that you knew that you ran 25,000 pieces already. You shut the machine off, you turn it back on, and you're back at 0. You can come in here and punch in 25,000 and then restart the system. So you kind of take over where you left off.
Sorry, guys, I'm gonna do one thing here. I just remembered I had a feature on this thing that I don't have to hold it. There we go, that's a lot better. All right.
Okay. Target rate. This is the.
Sorry. Oh, no, I turned my phone off.
Oh. I'll get back there.
Operator. Error. There we go. Okay.
Okay, so your target rate is basically the target that the line is going to be running at. So if it's 51 a minute, if it's 60 a minute, whatever it may be, that's where you would enter your information. Just by clicking on these little keyboards, we'll give you the pop-up keyboard where you can then make your changes and then make sure you click save, and then that'll update.
Can you also use the regular keyboard that would be hooked up to the system as well? Okay.
Yeah. So with regards to the keyboard, what we're finding is your $9.99 and $14.99 Amazon specials.
Yeah.
Don't work well.
Okay.
They're really designed for a PC.
Okay.
And not this particular product.
And
so,
the keyboards we need are USB connected keyboards, but something that's a little bit more than the cheapo.
Yeah. So what ones we find are your $30, $40, $50 Dells and Lenovo's seem to work well.
Okay.
We prefer a wired mouse and keyboard just based on the reliability.
Got it.
If you can use wireless mice and keyboard, but if your mouse goes to sleep or your keyboard goes to sleep, whatever it may be, you can have some lagging issues there. Okay. In the screen that we're in, we can actually enter a total job size value here. And again, that's going to be specific to whatever screens you're actually selected. The timeout. Now this is a critical item. What this means is if you want to see downtime, and how we describe downtime is if it's set at 2 seconds for your timeout and you don't see a product within that 2 seconds, we're going to go into downtime. Okay. Some of the downtimes that are included are total downtime, your current downtime, and then your downtime status, which we'll get into those. So if they're running at 60 a minute, a 2-second timeout is great. If they're running at 1 piece a minute, you're going to want to increase that timeout super high so that you can make sure that it doesn't go into downtime when they're waiting for the next piece. Reset data. This is just a button that you can click, and basically what that's going to do is reset the values on the main screen. That's one way of resetting. There's 2 other ways. I'll show you those in a little bit later. And here we also have the sensor debounce on and off times. Now this will be critical for products that may be a little bit uneven. If you're looking down, you're counting, your sensor's looking down at the product, and you're seeing a variance from a shallow part of the product to a higher elevation of the product. You can actually turn on the debounce for X seconds to ignore that leading edge and then only count the high edge of that product. And then the same thing or opposite holds true for the debounce off. And you can do that on both sensor inputs.
So pouch product, like a stand-up pouch of product coming down, you don't necessarily want to read the leading edge, but the bulk of the product.
Yep, exactly.
Where you would do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when the sensor would see the leading edge of the product, it's going to wait actual whatever seconds is in there before it registers a count. So
Got it.
Registered on the high end of it. These boxes here for total downtime, and you'll see the gray, green, blue, yellow, red, current downtime. These are the different thresholds that you can set. For, let's say, for total downtime, the customer really doesn't care if they have any downtime until 5 minutes. So you could actually set all of these values to 0 just by clicking on the box, click on the number, and then make sure you click the check mark to save it. If I did that on all of these, the only color I'll ever see is going to be the gray and then the yellow. I'm sorry, you're going to see the yellow and then the red. Right. So up to 5 minutes, that color is going to be yellow. As soon as it goes red, that means you've hit 6 minutes of total downtime. Whether that's a concern, sometimes it may be 60 minutes if they don't want to really be concerned with downtime. So you can change those colors based on the customer requirements.
And you could, the downtime could also be included changeover. If you're changing over a line, downtime, if the machine's not running, then they're measuring how long it's taking them to set it up for the next job.
Well, actually, we have separate fields that can track that.
Okay.
We do have a job start, a setup,
Okay.
and stop, and then we also have a pause. So if they're going on break,
Yeah.
they can just hit a pause button versus actually recording downtime.
Oh, okay.
They can record downtime, and then we'll get into it. They can just click on the job status,
Yep.
or the downtime status,
Yep.
and put lunch, and then so it'll accumulate that total time for the.
If you're recording downtime, when you do you get data for changeover if there's a changeover time happening?
Yep. So anything that is displayed on the screen or in the sidebar menu is that data is going to push over each time we tell it to push.
Got it.
So any data related to the system being paused,
yep,
is going to push.
Yep.
Anything related to the starting the setup is going to push.
Okay.
So you'll be able to capture all those times.
Okay.
And we'll go more into the data push once we get to the networking. So basically there's several features here, your count percents, your percent complete, net percents. All of these colors can be changed to what they want to see for the thresholds.
A lot of options there, a lot of different capability.
This next field here is the optional data capture. If I click on that, we're going to have over on the sidebar, we're now going to get this drop down where it has 6 different data fields up to our newest release that we'll get into. These would be manual fields that you would enter the information. So if you wanted field 1 to be your job number 9876, you could save that. It's going to populate that. Field 2 could be your operator ID number 432. Save. So it's a little manual, but now these fields, every time you have a data push, will come over. So they'll know once they look at the file who the operator was and what the job was. They're working on.
Okay.
Okay. If we uncheck that box, those fields go away.
Got it.
So that would be something.
So this allows you to track operators on lines for different jobs and things that and that stores under that individual.
Correct. So until you go in and manually change those fields will stay populated with that information.
Got it.
Downtime status, there are 8 different descriptions, downtime descriptions that you can use. They're just defaulted downtime description 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for those that want to track downtime, and let's say that they want to track all unscheduled machine downtime, in the languages menu, which we'll get to, you can actually go in there and change that to say scheduled machine downtime or scheduled maintenance. The next one could be unscheduled maintenance. Another one could be ran out of film.
Film change, roll change.
Roll change film, yep. So you up to 8 different reasons to be able to track that. From this screen, you'll see the cumulative total of each downtime, just small numbers.
Okay.
But again, that data is getting pushed out as well. Screenshot. Not a lot of people use this, but what this allows you to do is to insert a USB flash drive into one of the USB ports, and then every X minutes, whatever you put in here for a number, it's going to take a screenshot of that particular screen at that particular moment and save it to the flash drive. So if you wanted to do that every minute or every 60 minutes, and then at the end of the day, they would know exactly hour by hour where they were at,
right?
What that screen information said. So that's kind of the down and dirty quick way of knowing how you did.
Yeah.
So it's more reactive than proactive. The more proactive that we'll get into is the true data stream from the smart count to a collection device, which we'll get into. The time of day. Now this is one of those funny things that if you're not connected to a network that has a time sync, so whether it's Microsoft or if your IT department has their own time sync in their network closet, because of the technology inside, it doesn't keep the time 100% accurate. So, and why is that important? Because if you're going to use shift times where you want to reset at the end of every shift, then that will get messed up. So if you're going to utilize the shift times, you want to make sure that you're connected to the same network or connected to a network that has a time sync on it.
Okay.
Yeah. And that way that time will stay accurate all the time. Anytime you turn the box off, when you power it back on, it's going to come back on to the time that you turned it off. There is no time memory backup in the box. So what we tell people to do is, you're running so little amperage here, leave the box on, turn your TV off.
Right.
If you're going to go home for the day, it's not going to hurt the box. We tell everybody, leave them powered on if the time of day is a critical item that you want to see.
There, we'll keep that time ongoing.
Yep.
Okay.
And then so for the scheduled times, you can choose if you want to automatically reset all your data at one time throughout the day, 2 times, 3 times, or 4 times. And then you can go in and select your times that you want to reset them at. So we'll say we want to do it at noon. Again, very important that you get that check mark, and then that's going to update that scheduled time. Okay. Demo mode is just that. If it's enabled, it's going to show like it's actually counting. So right now we're enabled, and we're counting. If I disable that, I'm going to lose my actual count, but my target count is going to keep going because the system doesn't know that I'm playing around with demo mode. It thinks it's actually running. So if I disable that, and remember our timeout was set to 2 seconds. So I go back to home, my actual has stopped. There are my downtime clocks. For this particular screen, they pop up in these 2 fields here. You have your current downtime, you have your total downtime, and then here's your downtime status. So if you had these preset with descriptions, you could come over here, click on that box, pick the description of what it is, and now you'll be able to track that.
Yep.
So then when you start running again, the nice thing is the total downtime is going to keep track of all downtime until you reset it, where the current downtime is going to show you
right now
your current now time.
And this green will turn blue, yellow, red based upon the times that you had put in there prior, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep, exactly. until you really start playing with it. You know, a lot of this just may be, wow, this is a lot of stuff coming at me. I'm never going to remember this. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We have, again, online videos
Yep.
that'll walk you through no matter whichever screen that you select, as well as a pretty detailed manual now. We have out there with step-by-step instructions of how to set it up and set the different parameters and things. Okay.
Yeah, so do you find that a lot of customers use just one or two screens and then a couple indicators and then kind of set it and go based upon what their line is and how they run it?
Yep, so from what I see is once they have it on the line, they pretty much stick to one screen.
Yeah.
But there are some customers that'll they'll buy the display pack with casters and they'll move it around from line to line.
Right.
Which then they'll select the different screens based on the line that they're running it on.
Got it.
Before we get into networking, I'm just going to come down to languages. So any text that you see well, basically anything that you see here on the left side, that's your default text for those fields. You can come over here and change any of those languages. If you want actual count to be in Spanish and you know the Spanish words for that, you can type in the Spanish words for that.
No, just replace that. That's
Yep.
the default.
Exactly.
Okay.
If you want actual count to just say actual, you can change that.
Yeah.
And that's just by going, again, either clicking on the keyboard or having the keyboard connected. And then you can change to whatever you want it to be. And then just click save. If I go back to home, now it's showing what I just typed in there. Okay.
Yeah.
So that gives you some customizable features of that. You know, a lot of times people will say, well, I like screen 5, 8, and 12. Can I get those three combined and have a custom screen for me? Typically the answer is no, unless they say I'm going to buy 100 units.
Right.
Then that answer may become a yes.
Yes.
Or we would look at the SmartCount Plus, the Edge Plus, which I'll go over next.
Got it.
So that's what the languages menu lets you to do, is to rename any of the fields what you want it to. System, this is just kind of an overview of the device name, which you can name in the networking field, what version software you have, if the internet's connected, the MAC address, IP address, default gateway, all of that IT particular stuff that if they connect this to their network, they're going to come in and assign the IP addresses that match their facility.
Yep.
They'll get it connected. And then once all of that is done, that's when the networking becomes so cool, because now you can start streaming that data. Okay.
And we had touched on this, and I think the question had come up prior. You know, this can be either Ethernet cabled in,
Yep.
or it can be Wi-Fi adapter in, which would be a Wi-Fi module that would just plug into a USB port. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so I personally haven't done one yet, but I think they're called a wireless client.
Yep.
So you would have a wireless client at each SmartCount.
Yep.
And then you would have obviously your wireless router.
Yep.
If there's any pre-settings that you need to do on the client, you would have to do that on a computer and then bring
take
it
it out.
over
Yeah.
and plug it in.
Because you're not going to get any access once it's in there.
Correct.
It's just, I'm getting a signal, I'm sending the data through this Wi-Fi out wherever you want it to go.
Yep,
So,
exactly.
so no functionality within the box. You have to preset it up, plug it in, and then it'll link up.
Yep. Now, again, the default with Wi-Fi is if the network goes down, well, I suppose you're going to have the problem either way, but if you have any disruptions within that Wi-Fi, slower speeds, getting bogged down, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
some of those data pushes may not come over.
Okay.
Okay. So that's why we always say go hardwired if the data is critical and you want to see it all.
Yep.
Go hardwired.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So in the networking, here's where you can name the device. So for example, we just have this one labeled SmartCount 8 because it's number 8 on my board of TVs here. We got the timewindows.com for the time sync server. DHCP configuration. This is basically your auto configuration where it'll look for whatever network it sees and pull it up.
Got it.
If you wanted to disable that because you're going to do things differently, it's going to pull up your ability to enter your IP address, your mask, all of that stuff.
Got it.
So that's where the IT guy is going to come in and say, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So-
not secure. I want to do this. That's not secure. I want to do that.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
Here's a brand new feature that we're introducing for 2020. We used to give you the ability to remotely log in and view only a screen from any computer that was connected to the same network.
Okay.
Okay. Now you have the ability to not only view, but you can edit from a remote location.
Mm-hmm.
So that's become big, especially when a company has multiple of these on the plant floor and they got one person in charge. So instead of having to go to each machine, he can now sit at a remote desk, remote computer, log into each one, change the target rate, change the timeout, dump the optional data capture fields, all of that remotely from a computer or any device that is browser supported. So technically right now I could use my smartphone, remotely log into this and start making changes from my smartphone.
Wow.
Okay. So that was a big thing that a lot of people were asking for. So
Right.
We releasing that. That'll be in both the SmartCount Edge and the Edge Plus
Okay.
as standard. It'll also be included with the scoreboard, the CSV, and the IMAX.
Okay.
Scoreboard, if you're going to be using a scoreboard, you would click this for the enabled, and we'll get more into the scoreboard a little bit later, but the scoreboard will be able to display up to 160 smart counts.
Oh, wow.
Or devices.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, only up to 16 per page, but then you can rotate through 10 pages.
Okay.
Okay, so on the scoreboard itself, you can select where you want this particular smart count to report to.
So that's the scoreboard down here, folks. And you can see that screen. Oh, I just clicked out.
So now I just rotated back to my first screen. I'm going to come back and rotate to the next one.
And that's the screen that we're working off down
You
there.
can see Smart Count 8 is the title there.
Yep. So this would be sitting in the ops manager's office so they can be in queue as to everything that's going on the plant floor.
So your unit ID is basically which screen. So if you wanted part of the first page, the second page, the third page, and so on, that's where you would select it just by clicking the unit ID. Your position index is where on that screen you want it to show. And so if I wanted to change my position index for Smart Count 8 to display in position 7, it's not an immediate thing, so it does take a couple times. So I'm still showing up in position 2. Oh, I only got 6 shown. Let me change that to 6.
Now everyone can see our downtime is up to 9 minutes and we turned red. That was one of the features we were looking at before.
Oh, he's got this flipped backwards.
So it's in 6 now, or it was 6, yeah.
So I'm down. Yeah. There's just a leg on that. So now for your data streaming, so again, the SmartCount Edge does not collect per se data. It'll display the data and it'll stream the data.
Yep.
So it does no collection of it whatsoever. The data push, you can set up in 1, 5, 10, or 15-minute increments. So you can send it every minute, which then your CSV file is going to be super long at the end of the day. Or you could push it every 15 minutes and your file will be a lot less of data.
So every push is a new line on the CSV file.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. So basically what we have for options for the data collection. We basically have three. We used to basically sell this as, you know, here's the box, we give you the data, you take it and do what you want with it. That's where we kind of wipe our hands clean.
Yep.
We weren't getting into any of the data whatsoever, creating the files, creating reports, creating dashboards, any of that. But then, you know, it's like, okay, well, we got to offer something. So we came up with the our CSV data collection unit, which if we were going to push data to the CSV, we would need to make sure that this field is enabled. So now every minute, we're going to push to the CSV that would be connected to the same network.
And that data that's being pushed is 1 minute of all the data that's coming in increments of 1 second, or?
No, so basically every minute, wherever you're at on the screen.
Okay.
So if I did a push right now, I'm going to push 23,082.
Okay.
If I'm not running, the next time I push my data, I'm going to push that same number again.
Got it.
So it's basically the snapshot of the screen in a text format.
At that time.
Yep.
And then the number of columns that I'm getting, is that relative to the number of overall fields that are coming in?
Yep, so the populated columns that you'll get is based on what screen you're using.
Okay.
So the file format's going to come over with every possible column, depending on the screens. Okay, and only the ones that you're seeing are the ones that will actually be populated.
So Michael, I think that answered your question. What can we control the data that's being pushed? And the answer is yes. It's only going to push based upon the screen of data that you're showing.
Yep. So if I went back to screen one, and let's say that I had the optional data capture turned off.
Hey, Michael, can you just go to microphone? Because I want to ask you some questions on that.
So this is the only data that I'm going to push. So your actual count column is the only thing that's going to have data in it every time I push it, because that's the only thing I'm displaying.
So Michael, I think it's only going to be on what is showing.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
At that time. Make sense?
Yes.
Thank you.
I go to our most populous one, you're going to get a lot of data.
Is this one that most people use?
No. This was designed for one major customer that wanted all this information displayed on the screen, and it's, you know, people see it and they're like, oh, you know, that's a lot of stuff to look at, but it's a lot of data too. So if you want to know your actual rate, your target rate, your hourly count, your target hourly count, your actual count, your total count, I mean, it's going to have all of that data coming from this screen. Got it. That's number 23. So not a lot of people use this. One major customer does.
Eric, what happens in a case where you have a manager that wants more information gathered but not shown on the line?
So the question was, do we ever have a situation where a manager wants more data collected but not what's shown on the line?
Unfortunately, we cannot do that. We can't pick and choose. Okay. What I've seen, so what I've seen some people do.
Well, there's a workaround to that. If you don't have this screen on the line, then they don't know what you're collecting.
Exactly.
So you don't have to put this screen on the line, Michael. They can collect every data point that they want from that without having it shown on the line.
Yeah, because even without the TV, again, with the new feature of the remote login, as long as you have a TV and you capture all your IP information and everything, once all that's set up, you can remotely log in from somewhere else. So this box could sit by itself on the line, and the operators would never know.
Right.
But what we find is having that screen on the line,
helps
productivity increases because people get competitive.
Yeah.
And they want to do better.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem the company's going to have then is they're going to say, I want to raise. I'm hitting my numbers every day.
Right.
Can you put in there, free turkeys have been awarded? You won the prize. Ding, 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 ding.
We could probably do something with the IMAX on that. So the only other real field over here is the security. They have the ability to set up, enable it, and then have an operator and a manager set level password. So a visitor won't be able to do anything. They can just view the screen. An operator will only have certain things that they can change, and then the manager has full access.
Yeah.
So some people use it, some people don't. A lot of times people will forget their passwords. System pause. So I'm going to go back to the home here. And let's see, I'm going to go back into demo mode. What was I already in there? Enable that. Okay. So now we're humming along. It's now 10:15 and it's break time. Well, if I just stop the machine, I'm going to go into downtime. If that's how the customer wants to track that downtime, then great. Otherwise, you have the ability to click here and pause it. So during that pause, everything, you'll never go into downtime.
Okay.
All your numbers will freeze.
Got it.
So for that 15 minutes that you're on break, if you're pushing data every minute, you're going to have 15 pushes of the same data.
Be the same data. It won't say paused in that. It'll just be the same data.
I'd have to look at the sheet. If pause is one of the fields, it will show that it was active
Okay.
at that time. So
Got it.
we'll know that the machine was paused.
Right.
And you could rename it break time.
Yep.
if you wanted.
Yep. So that's another language field that you could change. All right, so I come back from my break and I'm going to start up a new job. So now I can go into startup or start setup. And the little clock here is going to keep track of how long it's taken me to do all my setup. So I'm making all my changes. I'm going to come here. I'm going to right click basically on any field and I'm going to hit clear values. Okay, so I'm still in my startup, 4 seconds, 5 seconds into it, my setup. Once I get done with that, everything is good to go. I click end setup and now I'm running. So that would be where you're starting a new job or you're changing out the product that you're actually running. So
When you push the data, is there a timestamp with that, or is it okay? So there's a time,
date and time.
date and time. Okay,
Yep.
and that's based upon what's in there and or what's coming off the network, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So your date will be based on what's in here, and then
Yeah.
your time you'll be synced
On the network.
on the network.
Okay.
So that'll be the actual time. Okay. So that's really it from the smart count standpoint. Is several screens, 24 of them to choose from. As much information on the screen as you want, or as little. 24 is kind of becoming a new popular one as well. This one does actually have a hidden value that you don't see on the screen that still gets pushed with the data. And that would be the actual count 2, which is the rejects.
Okay.
This particular customer who bought several of them did not want to show the number of rejects. They wanted big numbers that they could see from a distance.
Yep.
And they were more focused with the actual count, the target count, the percentage of what they're achieving of the target. The net percent, you'll see that that number will change based on how many rejects, but you're not seeing the rejects.
Okay.
So if that number starts going down, you know that there's a bunch of rejects.
Right.
Okay. And then they were tracking their downtime, current and total. So it was basically a screen 17 and screen 20 combination
Got it.
that we did for these guys. And again, when the volume is really high, we'll jump through hoops.
Right.
But now that we've come out with the Smart Count Edge Plus, this one, you want to come over
Over the screen,
to
yeah.
this screen. This one now gives you more flexibility.
Come over here.
So
Real quick, there's the Smart Count Edge price point on that system.
So with the new features that we've had a small price increase for 2020. So basically the Smart Count Edge box is $649.
Okay.
Okay. Does not include a TV, does not include your inputs, does not include any cables associated with the networking. Okay, so that's basically the box. You can buy all of those components from us, or you can supply your own.
Is there any concerns with running a photo eye from a long distance? Say the line's 30 feet long. Do we have to have any boosters to get that signal back?
30 feet would not be an issue. We have lines out there that are running at 200 feet, and they're not noticing any signal issues.
Okay.
At a certain length, you'll start to have some signal issues, but we've done up to 200 feet so far.
Okay.
It's been our longest run, and obviously you want a shielded cable, and you don't want that cable routed by any AC motors or anything giving off a lot of noise.
Got it.
All right, so what you're going to see here on the Smart Count Plus is a little bit more user customizable, because now you can select from templates versus 24 screens. So let's say there's 4 key metrics that you want to display. You would pick the 4-view template, and then you have 4 positions now with a main variable and an alternate variable. So if I wanted my main variable in position 1 to be total time, I can have my alternate one show the word pause when I go into pause mode. Position 2 would be runtime, and I can have that second variable be my setup. Main variable 3 would be my actual count, and I can add is current downtime as the alternate. And then I have my target count, and then we'll go total downtime. So this basically allows you to pick and choose the metrics that you want to display. So that's kind of where the customization comes in now.
Yep.
Whereas on the standard Smart Count Edge, we were creating new screens. Now we basically give the customers the flexibility to create their own screens.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So now what you'll see is 4 fields. This is always your position 1 up here, your position 2, and then in this case, this is 3 and 4. If I change and go to a larger view, let's say we go to 14 view template. Now you're going to see additional boxes pop up for what you want in those. If you click none, it's just going to be a black box.
Okay.
So now if I were to go back to that screen, it's going to look kind of funny because I got a bunch of these black boxes that I don't have anything populated in. But see, the more boxes that you pick, obviously the smaller the numbers get.
Right. The bigger the TV you need.
Bigger the TV you need.
Yeah.
Correct. So that's kind of the the upsell of somebody that doesn't like any of the 24 screens. They want some of this, they want some of that, some of this. That's where the Smart Count Edge Plus would come in. And the Edge Plus is $9.99. So it is an upsell. And I was telling Eric earlier that additional development that we'll be doing in Q1 will actually have a job storage little database inside of the Edge Plus. So if it's a job that they're running all the time, they'll just need to scan a barcode, and it's going to dump all of the data, all of this stuff that we're manually entering here. It's going to automatically populate that based on the barcode.
So this can be a job, or that could be a job, or these are downtime statuses. So you can have your different events. So this could be role change. This could be break time. This could be blah, blah, blah. And then instead of having to come and input it on the screen, you just simply scan the barcode for whatever that is. And then they'll take that system into that mode when you do that, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So let's go into a downtime. Let me see which one I'm hooked up to. 3. Okay, so I hooked up to that one. So the net, kind of leads us right into the barcode. So again, as I was saying, all of this data down here was manual entry. So I'm just gonna backspace and clear that. So because I don't have a keyboard hooked up, I have to keep using this one, which is no big deal. And you won't have to do this when you change from job to job. I'm just doing this because the barcode that I'm going to scan is the same one, so you won't see any difference.
Oh, because you've already done this, so
Yeah.
it's already input in there.
Last one. Okay. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable the demo mode and let it go into downtime. So now with the barcode reader option, let's see what my timeout said. It's at 20 seconds. I'm going to change that, put that to 3, so I want it to kick in sooner. All right, so now I'm into my downtime. Again, with this, with the Edge Plus, you can put whatever field you want, and then whichever view. Unfortunately, I have current downtime, total downtime, total downtime. So now what I can do is I can actually, with the barcode scanner connected to it, I can come over to the downtime status and click that. And now my downtime status, even though you're not seeing it, has been changed to that. So let me just go change that real quick so we can see it. So alternate position 3 is going to be downtime status. Okay, so downtime 7 is what I scanned. If I want to, I can change it on the fly as well if I click the wrong one. So now I click downtime 3, and it went to 3 and started the count for 3. So there is some time that you'll lose in between from the time that you go into downtime to the time that you click or scan the barcode. There's going to be some unaccounted for downtime there.
A few seconds or however long it takes you to do it,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But nothing critical.
Right. Without the barcode scanner, you would just click on that downtime stack and pick it. So you don't need the barcode reader to do it. The barcode reader option is going to have several things that we can do. If you want to focus down on these. And we were talking about the optional data entry fields. So what I can do is I can do them all manually. Let's say I have a job ticket that has 6 different fields on it, or six different barcodes based on the information. So then what I would do is I would click optional entry 1, and then I'd click the barcode of that paper, and then it's going to populate that. So right now it's waiting on me to scan a barcode.
So you just scan the barcode of the bottle.
Yep, so that's my water bottle UPC number. Just got recorded in there. Okay. Otherwise, if they want to do one barcode to populate all of the fields or some of the fields, this is basically the format that they would use to create their barcode. In this case, we have John Doe, some numbers, muffler bearings, second shift. If I scan that, it's going to give me the combo field, and it's going to dump all of that in there automatically. So I don't have to do that manually.
So it saves in a lot of keying in that you had historically done before with a keyboard or the mouse, whatever it is. You're just automating that function. So as you're switching jobs and you're running something new and you're collecting the data, it's populating all that information in a much easier way.
Yep, a lot quicker. But you know, in addition to the downtime statuses and the data fields, if I want to utilize the barcode reader to pause and resume the system, so now I've just paused it, come back over, click start. So this would be something nice if the TVs were way up high and that there was no mouse connected. They could easily have these barcode sheets printed at their location and reset it, pause, resume it, start their setup, click the downtime status, optional data entries. They can do all of that just by using a barcode scanner.
That's nice. That's really, really nice.
You sell the scanners too?
Yep.
Barcode scanners?
Yep. We sell them. I think pretty much any one of them will work out there. Just setting it up to the right configuration. I think this was just a USB. There was a barcode in the user pamphlet that we got. We just scanned the barcode and it pre-configured it, and away we go.
Huh.
So very simple. Let's see. So that's basically the summary of Smart Count Edge and Edge Plus.
Any questions, anyone? A lot of data.
Yeah.
And again, for refreshers, there's a video for each screen for the Smart Count Edge on our support tab on our website. There's brochures, there's the technical documents, all of that. Okay.
Perfect.
Let's see. So we talked about collecting data, okay, and how we do that. There's 3 different offerings or 3 different ways that we can collect data. Our most popular is using our CSV file generator. So with that connected and all the smart counts connected to the same network, we can push that data to the CSV generator, and it's going to capture each data push. And then at the CSV unit, you would set how often you want to push that to the memory stick that's included with that device.
Okay.
And then from there, with that on the same network, any computer can access that flash drive like it's an external hard drive.
Got it.
Pull that off, create their reports, create their dashboards, whatever they want to do with that data.
Is that the CSV down there?
Yep, so this is in one of our older design boxes. So basically it's going to be the same physical box as the Smart Count Edge. It's going to have a USB stick in there. And then you'll see on the screen that's displayed is we have data collections running. And each time the data is pushed, it's going to tell you which device it was, the MAC, and the IP address of each device.
Okay.
And it's got a total push count. So since I've turned this on, my Smart Count 1 has pushed data 278 times.
Okay.
So you'll always be able to see the devices that are connected and the data that's coming in.
And that's just based upon the frequency that you set on the
Smart
edge.
Count. So yep.
Yep.
So if I was pushing every minute, you're going to see a push every minute.
Yep. Do
Okay.
most people have a screen set up with the CSV, or do they just
Usually to start with, they do.
Okay.
You can also get just an HDMI splitter.
Yep.
And then if it was next to your Smart Count Edge, you could have one display and just switch back and forth.
Got it.
On the splitter. So your networking page is going to be similar. If they want to disable the DHCP and enter all their own information, they can do that. For our area here, we just have the DHCP enabled. And again, you can name your device. So now this is a Smart Count CSV1. Each CSV unit will take up to 16 Smart Count Edge data streams. Okay. So if you had 20 smart counts, you would need two CSV units to handle that.
Can the data be written to a network drive instead of the flash drive?
The data can be streamed through the customer network, through like MySQL is a popular one, which the customer would set up.
Yep.
We wouldn't have anything to do with that.
Right.
We do have a data sheet on our website, how to step by step for the MySQL. And then they can take that into their database, do all the mapping,
right,
and then push it and create an Excel or CSV file.
But off of this USB stick right here, which is I think it was a 2 gig, you can get like
32 gig.
32 gig, you can get how many? It was like a couple of years of data stored
easily
on there because there's so little memory used in a CSV file.
Correct.
Right.
Yep. So from the CSV unit, do we push to the network? No, we push to the flash drive, which can be accessed from a computer on the same network.
Got it. So that's the hard drive.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Did that answer your question, Michael? Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, other than that, there's really not much on the CSV
It's
itself.
kind of the black box.
Yeah, so if you were to pull the stick, the flash drive out, you're going to have about 170 hours of collection. So once you plug a new USB in and then you push it, it can dump all of that. So after that, you're going to lose everything, or you're going to lose beyond,
Right.
you know, minute or 171, 172. It's just going to start pushing out the old stuff.
Oh,
and
push out the
keeping
old stuff, bring in
Yeah.
the new.
On the creation mode, this is nice because you can pick scheduled times that you want to create a file to the flash drive, or you can just do it at the end of each day. Again, with that, doing that end of each day, you're being more reactive again now than proactive. So if you want to be proactive and see what's going on, you got every day of the week, and you can do up to 3 times per day. So if you know you only run the job on Mondays and Tuesdays, just set it up for Mondays and Tuesdays, and then push it at the times that you want to push. That way, when I say you can be proactive, is because that data's coming in, and let's say they have the database is all set up, and they have this really fancy dashboard that they've created. They're going to get live updates as the day's going on. So at noon, they'll be able to see what's going on versus waiting for the end of the day, coming in the next day and saying, oh, what the heck happened?
Right.
So that's one of the nice things with the flexibility of pushing that.
Nice.
And again, there's going to be customers that have the right people on staff that can do all the MySQL setup. They have a database guy. They have spreadsheet gurus.
Yep.
They have dashboard creators and all of that. They can do that all themselves.
Or that we could have Michael Toledo do all that for us and provide that to our customers, right, Michael? He said yes.
Yes. And when Michael's really busy and can't do that, one of the new things that we started to offer is a complete turnkey database dashboard package.
Oh, really? Okay.
So what we would do is supply a computer, monitor everything,
Yeah.
I'd have MySQL on it.
Yeah.
We would have the database set up.
Okay.
And then we would work with the customer up front
Right.
to design a dashboard for them.
Okay.
And then basically what we do is we put one of the free dashboard packages that you can download.
Yeah.
We'll put that on there, create a dashboard. If they want to make it really fancy or do more dashboards, the customer then can buy the pay per version.
Right.
And create as many dashboards as they want.
Do you have many customers doing that right now?
We have it quoted. We haven't sold one just yet.
Okay.
So,
okay. Interesting.
but if you got guys like Michael,
Yeah.
that's
We're
an
just-
advantage that you're going to have over anybody else out there. So
We're just trying to, how do we create the value in this and then be engaged with the customer, understanding the productivity? Because we're selling a lot of the equipment that we're going to monitor. So we want to be part of that solution too. So if there's
exactly.
downtime, we want to see what's going on with that.
Yep.
Great.
So that's really a nutshell of the Smart Count family.
This, scoreboard.
Okay, yeah, the scoreboard. Carry over. So some of the discussions that we had earlier, the scoreboard you can set up to have up to 16 displayed. Right now we're displaying 6 per page. You could have up to 16 of these. Typically in the past, the main purpose of the scoreboard was to give an entire plant view of what's going on.
Yeah.
So in an area like a break room or right outside management's offices, you would have a super big, 70, 80 inch, whatever, 107 inch projection display showing every line and what's going on with the scoreboard. We had the ability to, again, do the remote view. So any computer connected to the same network could view it. So we used to promote it as, oh yeah, buy one for maintenance office, buy one for operations, buy one for your front entryway, whatever. Well, now with the remote view capability, you can just have a computer connected and display that. Now with the remote login and edit, I don't have it set up, but I could, on the scoreboard now, let's say if I wanted to go and make a change to Smart Count 8, I can now edit from the scoreboard, the actual Smart Count. So a little bit more advanced too. So now if your production office and you're sitting with this display in front of you, you could go and manipulate any smart count line with that remote login.
So instead of this toggling through the different screens, you could go and click one of those screens and then work in that screen at that time.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have the.
Not hooked up now, but yeah, that makes sense. We get that. Great. Then the IMAX.
The IMAX. So this is a fun one. This is a newer product that hopefully technical guys, anybody that's done any type of programming, anybody that's done service on a machine after it's failed, anybody that has done maintenance on a machine after the fact or after the recommended time that they were supposed to do maintenance. There's so many different things you can do with the IMAX. It's basically, again, so basically the same box, just different software inside of it. And then it has a remote I/O module that would come with it. So you get up to 8 inputs and 8 outputs. Okay, so what you can do is utilize this combination in the manner of where you would use a PLC and have to be a PLC programmer, and then build a cabinet and add all the components, your power supply and everything, and now sit down and start programming. This basically allows you to create events, sub-events, do your ands, do your ors, all with drop-down menus. Okay, so basically the step-by-step that I've laid out in the manual is I kind of start backwards, because if you want to have actions taking place, and when I say actions, those could be lighting a light, buzzing an alarm, sending an email, sending a text message, all of those are action items that can happen. So I typically will set those up based on the events that I'm going to set up. The events, you can do events and sub-events. So in the case where you want something to happen before something takes place, you could do a sub-event or multiple sub-events into the event. So if these 5 things need to be satisfied before the main event starts running, you could have 5 sub-events tied into that main event.
So essentially, it's a way to integrate different manufacturers' equipment into one line.
Yep.
So instead of writing the code and doing all the programming and all that, like you had mentioned at the beginning of this, it allows you to turn things on and off, allows you to make lights blink, allow horns to sound, and then if something isn't occurring for a certain amount of time, you can turn off downstream equipment because nothing's coming to it, and vice versa. If the downstream has gone down, you can turn off upstream after a certain amount of cycles have occurred, which is your accumulation.
Exactly.
So basically it's an HMI.
Well, it is, but the main thing with this that's different from a PLC or an HMI is you don't have any of the safety, securities, parameters that a PLC will have.
Mm-hmm.
So we could lose power at any minute. There's no safety. So what we like to say is that you can send signals to pause devices, but not restart them, because we don't want to be involved with any motion control going on in a system from a safety standpoint. Pausing a line, no big deal. I mean, that's just adding a push button, basically. But one of the main things that we're finding that people are getting excited about this is when it comes to maintenance or service or supplies. Okay. For example, if you have a machine and you know that you have to change out the pads on that wrapper, on that sealer every 500,000 cycles, you can have an IMAX hooked up and be counting cycles of that machine. And when it reaches that level, you can not only, I mean, you can send text message, you can send an email, and then it can be part of the report that management can access. We can also set it up to keep a light on, flashing, a buzzer buzzing to really annoy people, saying, you got to change these pads now, you know. So it helps not only keep the customers' uptime, productivity, but it helps you guys be more proactive in servicing your customers as well.
So at a point, say at 30,000 cycles, we want our customer to replace the seal pad on an L-bar sealer. It will send a text and an email to the maintenance team and also potentially us if they allow us to be part of that.
Yep. So in the user groups, you can set up, let's say, a sample group, for example. And that group could be maintenance. You could set up another group that could be management. You could set up another group that could be vendors. And then you would have each user's email information. And then once you enter the user's name, the cell phone number, their email address, you can then apply them to a group. So you can add all of your maintenance guys into the maintenance group, all of your vendors into the vendor group. As far as the SMS, we provide that as part of our service, up to so many. You know, if people start abusing it and send an email and a text for every single little thing that happens, well, then we might, you know, put a little curtail on that and say, guys, you're exceeding the limit. Mellow out on what you're sending.
Because is that not sending through their network? Is that cellular based?
Well, it's going to be just like your cell phone on your text messaging.
Okay.
But we're providing the SMS.
Providing the SMS. Okay.
Yeah. If they want to go out and purchase their own and get their own account for that, and then they can send as many as they want, they can do that as well.
Is it just a basic SIM card that you plug into it? Is that how it works, or is it?
It's actually in the network.
Oh, so it'd be in the networking. Okay, yeah, I got it.
Somewhere.
Is this product launched now?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So there would be an area. I'm just drawing a blank right now where that SMS number would get entered, or the SMTP. So in this case, yeah, this would be our information here. So that would be configurable if they wanted to use their own.
Right.
Otherwise, it would come defaulted with ours, and then if they abuse it, then you
have a conversation.
You're kind of abusing it. So, but again, in the actions is where you can. So let's go to some samples that I set up here. So from the home screen, these are the 3 events that I have running. I actually have a sensor cable test, so any cable that I build for the smart home products, I test the cable to make sure that it works.
Yeah.
And then I set up a couple of imaginary ones, like machine 1 stopped, and then perform maintenance on machine 1. So when you set up these events, you can name them by the ID. So a lot of people will just say, okay, what input number are they on? And then you'll have the ability to name it as a description. So you'll kind of be able to see what's going on.
And the input numbers are here based upon where they're wired in?
Yep, exactly. So you have your inputs here, which coincide with the markings there. And then the one thing that a lot of people mess up is outputs start with 0, not 1. So you have 0 through 7. So a lot of people will connect to here thinking it's 1. So
I would have.
a lot of troubleshooting, simple troubleshooting that goes on there. So for example, right now, let's say I just have this set up to 5 cycles. So I'm going to pretend that my machine is cycling. I'm going to push this 5 times. Okay, now that action's been triggered, and now I'm blinking a light. That was me checking that. Okay, so now that light can be running at the machine. I can also, if I had this set up to send texts and emails, I could be sending a text to the maintenance team saying machine 1 needs pads, machine 1 needs maintenance. You can even get more descriptive in your description and say change pads on line 1 or whatever it may be. And then, so this light's going to keep flashing. You can set up to send multiple texts and emails based on a given period. So to make sure that they did receive it. And then once they do the maintenance and they change everything, they would just come over here, acknowledge it, click yes, and then restart. And click yes.
Huh.
So now when I reach that cycle level again, it's going to pop on again. That's cool. That's what really excites a lot of people, especially companies that have a lot of machines and don't always do their maintenance on a scheduled basis.
We don't know anyone like that.
No, none at all. Here's the sample where I use for my sensor cable test. is any cable that I build, I connect the sensor to it, connect the other end to the box, and then I just trigger the photo line. Make sure that, I think I got a timer based on that. So that's the other thing too, is you can have these signals go high, or active high, active low. You can do time-based. You can do an input-based. You can do distance, just a one-shot to activate it. So again, it's basically allowing you to do what you could do programming a PLC.
Got it.
You know,
That's, I mean, that's
our programmer that developed it. So he's a programmer. So
right.
it's really just kind of picking the main events and different things that programmers would traditionally use.
Right.
And then putting it into a an affordable package. The pair of the Rio and the IMAX, $19.99.
Wow.
And then you do your own wiring, your cables, create your events, add sensors, whatever it may be, tower lamps, audibles.
Nice. So not usually are you using photo eyes with this system. You're more into where would you be connecting this into a system? Say it was say I have like a shrink wrapper going into a case erector, case packer going into a stretch wrapper. And my stretch wrapper needs a roll of film. So that machine is going to be down and usually takes about 5 minutes. So where would I connect into the case erector to slow down or stop, and then also send that signal to the shrink wrapper? Is that right into the PLC?
So typically, if you have a controlled stop button or a pause button,
yep,
that's typically
where you would plug into. Okay. Okay.
The inputs will support or the outputs will support up to 24 volts DC.
Okay.
And what we do is you can supply your own. Otherwise, we just buy one of those like laptop power cords that have the transformer built in. We just cut the end off and use that as our power source.
Yeah.
Really cheap, simple.
Yep.
We do a 6-amp one, but yeah. So you can hardwire in the pause buttons, or in the case of the case packer or the stretch wrapper.
Yep.
You could have a photo sensor monitoring something that's turning.
Yep.
And then as soon as that's not turning anymore, you can wait a given time, hit an output to the shrink wrapper.
Yep.
To their pause.
Yep.
And you could send another one to
case packer.
A case packer and pause that as well. And then you can hold those signals closed until the main event is reset.
Huh.
And so that somebody can't go over there and now start up either of those.
Right.
Because it's being held closed from the main event.
Right. And then would you physically have to go into this to
clear the event?
Clear the event?
Yep. So there's a couple different ways that can be set up. You can actually have in the action itself.
I was just thinking that so if you had to replace the roll of film, then you go in and replace the roll of film, and then the machine starts running again. It can't do that without you resetting this, correct? Okay.
Yeah. So you can turn off. You can do an auto reset with event conditions. So if the line started running again, that could be an auto reset feature. Or you could latch when the entire thing, latch and reset it, or you can latch it until a restart.
Okay.
So you could hold that signal closed. So if you remember what you saw on the home, when I did the 5 inputs here.
Yep.
Okay. So now this light is going to blink and blink and blink until contacts wear out. Until I come over and acknowledge that I did the maintenance. And I'm restarting it for the next maintenance schedule.
Yeah.
Now it resets and starts all over again.
Nice.
The nice thing about this with having the 8 inputs and outputs is if your lines are relatively close together, and let's say that you wanted, for example, you want to detect if the conveyor is getting backed up, okay? And you want to do that on 8 machines, you can do that with 1 IMAX and 1 reel. So you don't need one for each machine.
Right.
Because with the 8 inputs and 8 outputs now, you can have 8 separate sensors coming into this. If they're, if you got a sensor looking, if it's blocked for X seconds, it says that the line's backed up, we can pause that guy.
Yep.
Now that one's backed up, we can pause him. That one's got back composite. We can light lights. So you can do up to 8 different machines. You could also do multiple events and sub-events from one input.
Could you get an auto reset that once the photo eye is unblocked for a certain amount of time,
so that would be,
automatically start it up?
Yep. So that would be one of the, in the action setup, conditional, I would do the auto reset on condition.
Right.
So as soon as that eye was unblocked, everything's normal again.
Okay.
It takes it out of pause, out of hold.
Yeah.
I like that term hold versus stop.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because that's all you're doing is just holding it in
Yep.
queue and then you release it.
Yep.
Wow. There's a lot of applications on that. Yeah. That's something we could use quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are putting in a system somewhere
Yeah.
and you want to know how many cycles that they're running a week, if you're renting something based on cycles,
Right?
you could add this on there and know exactly how many cycles. Smart count as well. But with this, you could send, you know, anytime that an e-stop was pressed, you could send a signal. Man, they're hitting that e-stop every 5 minutes. What the heck's going on?
Right.
Proactive, head over there. Guys, what's going on? Oh, Dumbo keeps putting his arm in the machine.
Now, from a security standpoint, this would be running on your customer's network as far as getting out, but it's a one-way. It's just an
Correct.
out. There is no
You
in.
do not bring anything in.
Got it.
Just your inputs on the reel.
Right. So you're just sending stuff out. There's no way to get back in through that,
Right.
that communication.
Yeah, that's important for customers.
Yep.
Yeah. More and more these days.
Yeah.
You got to run with.
Yeah, I have it.
Anyone have any questions on the IMAX?
Hopefully a lot come up as they're out in the field and
Yeah, absolutely.
saying, oh, I remember that IMAX thing. I could probably use that to do what this customer wants. And just call me with your crazy ideas and applications and we can walk through it and see what makes sense and what doesn't.
Appreciate it, John. Great job today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I wave goodbye. Bye,
Thank
Rick.
you.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
I sold a lot of Gremlin 4 systems